BizChicks TV. We're here to help you take the hassle out of your hustle so you can build a profitable business that's fun to run. Here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to BizChicks TV. I'm Terralina, and I'm here with today's co-host, Miss Coach Caren Fern, all the way from Toronto, Canada. She's in the house, and we are so excited. Her name of her business is Profits in Daily. How to bring that money in every day. You go, Coach Caren. We are excited to learn more about how to bring that money in today.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Mhm.
And so today we're talking about, who are you building this business for? Because sometimes that make people stop in their tracks and not go forward. This whole series that I'm doing, and yes, it's a bit of a series because last time we talked about CEO, and this is some of the things that we need to get past to get back there. Sometimes for some people, and we cover working through the process of self, and we talk about a lot of things. We talk about understanding profit. Last week we talked about fear. This week we're talking about who you're building the business for. Because some people say I'm building for my children, and some people are really surprised or shocked when the kids have no interest. They just want a job and that sort of thing. And I'm telling you, that's why I said, don't do things for your children. Let them get the effect of it. Do it for yourself. And so I'm going to cover a couple of things today. We're going to talk about, it's good to know, but don't let that stop you from getting started.
Okay.
Building is a journey in itself, and the benefactors will appear when necessary. Don't fight it. Do not become paralyzed if it's not your kid or kids. That's very important. Or another family member, because the business is there to teach you. I think if I was not a businesswoman, I've learned so many things about business, about myself, about people by being in business, because I get to interact with all kind of people. Yeah, good people, bad people, nasty people, really rude people, obnoxious people. I know life gives us that, but in a different way when you're in business and intensely. And if you step back, no matter how terrible the person is, when you interact with them, you will notice over time, if you've developed yourself enough, that you can talk them down off of that ledge. You can go away and not feel that is personally affecting you or it's towards you. It's just whatever's happening with them at the time. And when you start understanding that, people behavior doesn't become the thing you put to the front view. It's what you're doing. You put that just goes to the side. That's people. You should not and will not have any control of what somebody else's does. You can't.
Okay.
Leave that alone. Leave that alone. I mean, leave that alone is part of understanding. And the lessons you learn in business will teach you that. Okay, I want to say that first out the door. So let's get into it right away, because it's a big moment I'm here with. It's good to know, but don't let that stop you from getting started. If you start off with, I'm doing this for my children, and your children start acting up, because they will, the minute you name it, you're going to say, well, why am I worrying? Why am I coming home doing all of this for? I could just relax. No. I tell my mom this only this morning. The devil is like a loophole. You say you're going to do something, be true to yourself and do it. Do the thing. Get up and do the thing. Don't worry about the benefactor. You're going to learn a lot of lessons there. Go do it. If you want to figure out how to make a different light bulb, go figure it out. Understand whatever project you're going on is going to take you 4 times longer than you thought it would. Okay? Some people 100 times longer, but at least 4 times longer than you thought it would. I was at a fair the other day, and a girl was selling lipstick, and she put a lot on my hand, and she was claiming that it stays on all day. And that's great. I don't think the part that she got, though, is that taking it off is a problem. So it's great for the all day, but she didn't figure out the other parts.
What happens? What do I do with the stain?
Because that's exactly what it is.
Well, what if it gets on my clothes?
Right? She said it wouldn't do that. What happened? So when you're getting started, it's going to take you a while. You're going to have to listen to feedback. You're not going to like most of it.
Okay.
But investigate it versus getting annoyed with it. Okay? Investigate it. When years ago, I used to design bags. And bags for little girls to go to church with. And I had these specific bags. My mom reminded me the other day. And they were just some square bags, and they look very fragile. And my mom and a lot of people say to me, Karen, this bag can't carry any weight. So instead of arguing with them that it's true, I would just wear the bag and put tons of stuff in it. I had other people wear the bag, and everybody would come back to me and said, this darn bag is still going. It's strong. A friend of mine last week said to me, Karen, I still have one of your bags. This has been over 20 years.
Okay.
Testing though. So if I was annoyed about that, then I wouldn't do anything. Instead, I decide to just keep going and test the bag, get other people to test the bag. And everybody come back with, this is a strong little bag. This bag is small but mighty. And so I didn't have to say much because people just say, you want a bag, just buy it from Karen in those days. So people just buy the bag easy. The price wasn't a big thing anymore because the bag has proved itself, right? I started off selling as a nice little small bag. So I think I was selling for like $35 or $45. And some people had a problem with it. Some people said it's like a little tote bag. It wasn't a tote bag. It was just this square bag. And it had something to sit inside that hold it down. But all the people who bought the bag will say, it's one of my strongest bags. It was a denim bag. It had a pattern on the outside I'd created. People love the bag. The bags get sold out. I never made it again. My bad, because I moved on to other things. But if you are doing something, you got to take the feedback. And so don't let it stop you if you don't know who is going to benefit from it. Don't let your kids stop you. If you're inventing something and you're creating something, you got to go through the processes. I want to develop a candle line. I am researching right now. I want to come out for Christmas. If it doesn't, it's great because I will have more in my reservoir. So next year it will be better. But if I find I can do it, then I'll have it ready by, October, November. You never know, right? But I'm progressing. Not because my daughter says she would help me, but I'm not depending on her because her mood can decide to be somewhere else. She's young and enjoying her life. And that is great. I cannot build it because she might want to help or do it. Yes. Don't do that. Don't do that with yourself. So if you ask you're building it for, it is for me and the people I'm going to serve. I want you to go with that truly because the people benefit from that. People will say, I'm building a house for my kids. No, I'm building a house for the family. And my kids get to live there, And then if hardship reach them when they're gone, they can come back here because this is the family home. But don't save things. And then you're upset when people don't want it because that was not their journey. It's like, I used to love to be in a big family. My mom had 6 kids, 2 died, 4 of us alive. But we all live in different countries. No one of us live in any same country. And I used to think it would have been so fun because then our kids would grow up together, but life didn't work out that way. And people become adults and decide where they want to live and what they want to do as a career. And that dictates where they go and what happened. And their spouse at the time where he, or, because still girls my mom had, so where he was, and who they want to marry and what they're doing. So that changes things for us. So our lives are separately and we come together as a group to talk. So you never know what's going to happen. So don't put all your eggs there and pressure on the people when they didn't ask you to create this company. This is strictly you.
That makes sense. I think a lot of people don't realize that their children don't want their businesses.
And it's very sad. It's very sad. A friend of mine used to talk a lot. He doesn't do much now. He's much older. But Christian used to be that. He owned a cleaning company. And even when his wife didn't want to do it anymore, he says, Karen, I'm selling a company. And I end up buying another cleaning company. But that was more established than mine because he started from the ground up. And he understood that at the time, he got to go at it alone. And then eventually, one of his sons came to work with him. That was just the benefit of seeing what his dad did. But he wasn't betting it on the kids would take over. It just happened to be that way, which is great. But the other 3 kids have no interest. You just never know. So don't let that hamper you from starting whatever business you want to start, develop, and where you want to take it. Building is a journey. And it's in itself, the benefactors will appear when necessary. Just as I was saying, the guy's son wanted to do it. You never know who is going to want to come in. And sometimes it's a stranger. Sometimes we're so afraid of letting in a stranger because of stories we've heard before. But the truth is, a stranger might come in and do way better things with you within your company than people ever will.
Yes.
Another story, I knew this guy, a big man, and I think he had about 5 kids. Nobody cared. I was in Guyana, but the business, he was a machinist, so he made all the screws and bolts and what have you. And I remember when he took on, I had other apprentice at different point, but when he took on this specific apprentice, he used to always say, Keith is so good. He had problems with one eye, but he would show up to work. He would be there before the man, Mr. Otis opened the doors to the shop. He is always there. And he used to travel a lot back and forth. And as he got older and he realized the kids didn't want the business, he opted to sell it to the young man. And he sold it for $2. It sounds crazy. He didn't sell it for what the business was worth. And I'd ask him, I said, why you did that? He said, I sold it for him because I needed to sell the business for whatever the setup was. I didn't understand business at the time, but I know now why. He sold him for $2 and his kids were upset. Everybody was really mad with him because they wanted to sell it for hundreds of thousands so they can get a benefit of it. He said, but I didn't, because then I'm not spiteful, but they want the money from it, but they never wanted to be involved in it. And not a matter of doing anything or even hear me talk about it. It was a problem. Anytime I brought it up, it caused a lot of strife. And I've got 5 kids. I don't want to fight over it. Keith is the right person for it because he's going to manage it well. He's do a lot of great things. We have some conditions for the first couple of years, but $2, could you imagine? But it's the guy dedication, the way he treated the business, the way he operated when the owner wasn't there, the way he trained new trainees, because he always was open to, the company was open to bringing in co-op students from our technical institute. So it was a revolving door. People come and learn the trade, go back out, stay and work if they wanted to, and he had space. So training happened all the time. Mm-hmm. And so that's the person who benefits from it. Now, some people might have their own controversy of, why would you do that? How he decided, you know why? Because he built a business and you're building your business and you don't have to explain to nobody, even your children, why they're not reaping the benefit of it. Because I'm sure he's got other things that he gifted to them that he left in his will for them, that he was a strong believer in giving things before he died. So I know he gave them whatever he wanted to give them while he was alive, because he didn't want nobody to fight for anything and decide that he wasn't in his right mind when he died. That was his thing. He's like, I'm in my right mind. I'm giving you now. There's nothing to complain about. And I guess when he was getting down, he probably was in his 80s. He sold the business to Keith. And the business was under the house, but it was a huge house, big established business. And the conditions were, he wasn't selling the house because he wanted the business to stay. He wanted Keith to be there. Keith ended up buying the house totally for fair market value.
Yeah.
And he moved his family up there. He got married and said he moved his family up there. And so you might, that was his words. He says, God inspired me that this is the owner after me. And there was nobody's going to take that away from my mind. And that's what he did. He sold the house to the guy, but he gave the business for $200 for the business, right? So don't worry about that. Who's the benefactor? They will appear when necessary. Keith appeared.
I love that.
Worked for 12 years or whatever, and then got the business. He was dedicated. He was trustworthy. He had the man principles. He stick to them. And those are the people you want to carry on your name. And he did. He bought the business. He never changed the name of the business. He kept the man name on the business. All that sort of stuff. And I'd ask him, because we were friends. He says, Caren, he was so good to me. And he said I was good to him. So I guess we're even in that sense. The right people will appear. Okay? The right people will appear. And number 3 is, do not become paralyzed if it's not your kids. I'm bringing that in steady, because so many people, I can't tell you, hundreds of people I've met who I do this with my kids. It's very important. If it's not a family member, you're building this because of the people you're helping, the people you're serving, the journey you're on, the lessons God wants you to learn. They're so much more important to give than the gift to give your kids. I know it sounds crazy because I got children and I want to build things and left for them. I understand that more than you'd ever understand. I got sisters, I got siblings, I got nephews who I can see would be fitted, but they would have to want to qualify for it. It would be just stupid to not to do it any other way. When there's people who God is priming and giving them all the skills that they need to get to where they need to be. We know somebody as a family who owned a McDonald's at one point, for example. And then she sold it and bought three other McDonald's other places for whatever reason. Okay. And she'd always said, my mom, one of them, when they're sold, whenever she sold or got rid of the franchise or whatever, there's a lady that took care of her children, daughter, that's going to get the benefit. If she either wants it or she's going to pass it on. You see, you never know what people want to do. I don't know if she sure know that, but that's her thing, because in her mind, the reason she was able to do all of this is this woman who took care of her kids throughout the years of her working hard and being able to buy franchises. This woman was in her lives from her first child all the way up to, I don't know, 3 or 4 kids she had. And the woman only herself had a daughter. And in her head, this is what she saw and see fitted to do. And so before, I can't remember when it happened, but she did end up gifting one of McDonald's to the lady's daughter. Literally, she got a franchise. She got to own a franchise, train through the lady, do everything, and then it was passed over to the lady's daughter. She says, I cannot repay her, no matter how I try, but this is the way I want to do it. She paid for the girl's school and make sure she got a degree and everything first. And then, because she said, I don't want her to not just have it, I want her to have the education behind it. And once she realized this is what the girl was thinking about and want to be involved in business, she's like, let me get you a start. So that if at some point you don't want McDonald's anymore, and that's great, you've got this experience, you've learned things, you understand how to manage a business, how to work in a franchise, how to look after employees. I mean, those are lessons you can't get from just going to business school. No. Oh yeah, it's a rigorous out there.
You cannot.
You can't get them. And so the kid appeared, and the kid was right for the journey, and the kid got what was up front. Don't worry about your kids. They're going to be fine. Whatever's their journey, it's their journey. Whatever you're supposed to give them and you're true to yourself, you'll be able to give to them. Okay? You'll be able to do it. It mightn't be a business, just like it mightn't be a dinnerware set, or it might be, the clothes that you have. They might like it. Let's talk about the practical things too, right? We're talking about all the big stuff, but let's talk about the practical things. The things that your kids want is great, but the things that they don't want, don't force it on them.
Because they're not going to take care of it anyway.
They're not going to. They don't want it.
A lot of times the things you don't earn, you're not a good steward over them. You don't appreciate what it took to build it. The sacrifice and all you know is that, they were never home or whatever.
Yes. And you're whining on that and you're complaining on that. So you can't see the value in what they sacrificed to provide. Because
you may resent what it took to build that.
Yes. So then you just slam it to the ground.
Yes, sabotage it once you get it.
Yeah. If you saw desire, then you do it in a way where they get royalties from it, but they're not involved in it. We've seen lots of movies. Those movies are made because all movies got some truth in everything that you're seeing there on the screen. Everything is gonna be right, but there's truth in it. It's developed from the idea of something that happened, or somebody had seen it happen, witness it, be a witness, be part of it, whatever, and then they decide to turn it into a movie. This is what happened, guys. So people understand that you cannot. And you don't know what your kids are thinking. You really don't. You don't know what your spouse is thinking. I mean, you might want to think, but there's some thoughts people just don't share with you.
And sometimes they haven't even thought about it until the time comes.
Yes.
They share.
And so you got to be mindful of that. You got to be very much mindful of that. So don't let that paralyze you. Don't let that stop you. If you're going to build a business, that's really the message here, guys. If you're going to build a business, build a business that you want to build, that you're in love with, not so much so. And I learned this the hard way because I tried. I'm going to tell you, we got a little bit of time. So I'm going to give you this here from me. For me, when I first started building a business, I was excited because I had 2 younger sisters and I really thought they were just going to run with it. And I really was excited for them to be involved. Now, mind you, one of them did work with me very hard for a long time. And the business This was a business this is how sometimes people don't even realize certain things. This was a business that was making anyway from $10,000 to $15,000 a month. And yes, it was hard work. And yes, all of that wasn't profit. But I can tell you, more than half of it was profit. This was a business that I worked, and she saw it, and she was there. And I didn't tell her everything, but she sees some of it. And I started schooling her and watching the process with her. And I remember when she was just going through a hard time. And I said to her, you could be doing this with me. She goes, yes, Caren, but it's not my thing. I don't know that I would want to do that. I don't know that I could dedicate time to it. And it wasn't in any bad way. She was just saying it as we talk. And the younger sister didn't really want to do, she sabotaged it a lot in different ways. And we're adults, so we talk about that, right? And so I left that business. I didn't even thought about selling just because of how life was happening so fast with me getting to Canada. And I left that business. And at the time, my sister had a job. And I was saying to her, you can do this part-time then. And she's like, when I come home from my job, I don't want to do anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think in less than a year, she lost the job. She was in financial distress. Financial fatigue took over.
Wow.
And she had something right in her hand, with not only in her hand to do, but with a customer mile long that would just be waiting to buy. She didn't have to go find people. This was an established business. I had at that time 3 wholesale clients, and the rest was retail. But the wholesale clients brought in a chunk of the money, like reliable wholesale clients that I had to stock up with a month's worth of product I tried before I left. That's how desperately, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And one of them did ask me, says, don't you have any family member who want to take this over? Because Caren, there's people who would love to do what you're doing and can't get the clientele you've created, and just the way you treat people and what have you. And nobody wanted it. And I was sad. I'm not going to lie to you. I was sad that they couldn't see that this way of life will afford them the life they truly want. But you're going to have to work for it. You're going to put in some, and I done had, I'm a system girl. I done had plans. I done had how things happen. They could have taken it over, but they couldn't see it at the time, maybe because they were young. They were teenagers. I'm not going to lie, but I started younger. So I thought this would be perfect. But my younger sister said to me, she says, Caren, anytime I'm having a hard time, I'm like, look what I did not care about. And God is so funny because she was in food at the time. And she's like, I wish I'd soaked up the things you were giving me. I was so against you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to learn from you. I can't explain why, but she said, I just didn't want to do it. And now I sit with myself I wish I did.
We're just young, dumb, and inexperienced. We don't know no better. We're all up in our feelings, and we think the world revolves around us.
Yes.
When we're young, and that it will never change.
Never change. And a job is way easier than what I was doing. I guess the early mornings people didn't like, because my job didn't require me to get up at 4 a.m. so I could start my journey.
The discipline.
They didn't like the discipline. I didn't know that. And they never voiced it until we get older enough for them to say, I didn't like it.
They didn't know what it was.
Yeah, they didn't like it. They didn't like that they felt I was too strict. That's what they told me. And we called it discipline. They felt that I was too strict. Yeah.
Because you had a system that had to keep going.
Yes.
I said that is also why employees turn over.
Yes. Yes.
They get bored with the repetition of it all.
Yes. Yes.
But business is repetitive.
It is. It is.
Especially when you're in manufacturing.
It is. It's repetitive. I mean, that's why people drop off of social media as well. It's everything that you see people are doing and doing great at is repetitive. If somebody's making t-shirts, they're making t-shirts. If they're putting on embroidery, they're making embroidery. You're watching them do the same thing every single day. If we're coaching. Yes, it's not every day, but we're getting people's minds cleared up. So we're doing a lot of the same things, even if it looks different.
Yes.
And people get into this mindset, especially, I guess, when they're closer to you and they're really seeing it, and they can't see, because they're not. That's why I said the person have to be ready for it. because they cannot see if they're not ready. I fear
Mhm.
God make them blind to not see because they weren't good stored for it. But it took me a while to be able to say that because my kids have come and worked for me in different capacity in my businesses. And I knew as they worked that they weren't going to be stored for it. Like I knew even if I want them to be, I'd involve my husband at a certain point, and they just didn't want it. And I knew I used to cry out and say, "Well, why wouldn't they just come in? Because it would be so great." But you can't make somebody want to do what they don't want to do, ever, ever, guys. This coach understand that they have to be ready. Anybody comes to coach with me, that's my statement. If you're not ready,
Mhm.
I understand. I don't want you to push.
Because it's all about free will, right?
Yes. And I can't help you if you're not ready because you're not going to do anything I ask you to do. And then the coach would, I'm not worried if you feel you left me, you didn't learn a lot because I know it's because you didn't do the work. Because I understand that if you did 20% of what I ask you to do, you'll be way ahead. You don't even have to do 50. 20% of the things I ask my coaches to do, if they do that, they
Hmm.
can't believe where they'll be. But they have to
Wow.
believe that they could. That's what I'll end with.
All right, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh, this has been an enlightening conversation, and it's one that I don't know if we've ever had this conversation from this perspective,
No, we haven't. Yeah.
but I think it's a really important conversation because people can build something and be very disappointed
Hmm.
because the people that they built it for, you know,
Have no
are
interest. No interest.
doing it.
Mm-mm, don't want it. No matter what business you see out there and you admire, there are people who are not building it because at least at some point you come to the conclusion and the sensibility of it. I often say, but let me get this other coin before I go. I do think though, because we still have a few minutes, I do think though that the people who understand that's what they're going to do and they cultivate it. So I put it this way. If you want to build a business, you got a young family, you have to involve them to want to do it. Now, I'm not saying you have to make them, but the involvement from a younger age, you have a better chance at it. So, discussion, you're talking family budget, you're talking money, you're talking why the family is doing this to support the family for the kids who want to go off to university.
Mhm.
And even if you're going to be in the family business, we want you to have an education. So, you understand education relate to that. And if one of the kids come to you and say, Dad or Mom, this is not what I want to do, you got to be okay with it. But you still have to inform them of why and how they're getting the benefit of it. And I think it's hard for us sometimes to do that as a
Mm.
unit because, especially if we're still searching. But the financial, the emotional part, you got to say, listen, I'm going to be downstairs nights because this is what I'm doing. And you can't be afraid to tell a 2 year old or a 3 year old that. I promise you, when you tell them early enough, they don't know. But here's what they say: Mommy and Daddy, or Mommy downstairs working. And it's just something they say. But by the time they're 5, they're understanding Mommy work because she's starting a business. They got to go to school and tell their friends. They're
Mhm.
gonna, it's going to be part of their being. And over time, even if they don't join you, they'll have that sense of it. And then when money is not there, you can talk about it without feeling afraid and judged. When money is there, you can talk also about it. We're going to
Mhm.
Disney because the business and the salary mommy gets from it is able to pay to go to Disneyland. The reason you're on this cruise is because of the business that mommy doing sacrifice. There's no error there because you talk about it and you emphasize. And if you don't want to join mommy business, is okay. But just so you understand, this is what pays for that.
Gotcha. I like it. Yeah. So that people can appreciate where it came from, why you
Mhm.
do what you do.
Yes.
Ah, guys, look, if you're looking to connect with Coach Caren, I'm telling you, because you do need to have a talk with her about what's going on in your business and who are you really building it for? And how do you identify that person? So here's the link. Take a screenshot, book an appointment. I'm telling you, Coach Karen will help you build a profitable business that's fun to run. And that's why we're here to help take the hassle out of your
Yeah,
hustle.
that's all. Yeah.
Right? Okay, everyone. Remember, if you're looking to become a part of Biz Chicks, you can simply text Biz to 33777. Okay, or you can go to bizchicks.net, and we would be more than happy to have you become a part of our circle. Let you know, hey, we want people to know what it is you do and how you serve. So, with that, I want to remind you it's good to make money in your
In your
business.
business. Yep.
Hey, so go to the front of your own line. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. We trust you've learned something to help you build a more profitable business and take the hassle out of your hustle. See you next time.